What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. So we're going for a ride. I haven't done the car vlog thing in a long time, so we're gonna do it now. I'm just gonna do a quick vlog. It's a beautiful day out, early in the morning, and I'm making that ride. You know how it is. Gotta go get the boxes. But there's one in particular that I've been waiting on. It's the OnePlus 5. So it's here. So we're going to get it. Let's go for a little ride. Like Dom say, let's go for a little ride. Headed back to the lab, get some hands-on time with the 1 plus 5 equals 6. Let's do it. All right, guys, so here it is, the OnePlus 5, and this is the Midnight Black 128 gig, 8 gigs of RAM, the one that everyone's raving about. And I want to talk about in this video and give you my first impressions of it. So let's start with obviously the build quality here. I mean, come on, let's just be honest. This is some pretty decent build quality. I will compare it to the iPhone 7 Plus later, but it's not to say that it looks like the iPhone, because obviously they did take a lot of notes from the iPhone, but nonetheless, we're past that, because this obviously, I can tell you already, this feels much better in the hand than an iPhone. On the back here, you can see you got the dual camera setup with the dual tone LED flash. And on this side over here, you got a power button, and on this side here you've got the mute and vibrate switch there. I really love that. I really wish that a lot of phones would get that with the volume rocker. And on the bottom you've got like this slanted design where you have the speaker, charging port, microphone, and headphone jack. Now the fact that they kept the headphone jack is ridiculous. I mean, that's really good, because nowadays phones are coming out and people are they're taking off the headphone jack, which isn't a deal breaker for me, but the fact that they still have it, it's a good thing. Now on the front here, you can see it has the world's fastest fingerprint reader. It's just ridiculously fast. It's a fast fingerprint reader. There's just no getting around it. The screen itself is actually beautiful, man. I mean, I changed it to my favorite wallpaper, and I like that it's clear. Now, it's not a 2K display. I really feel like for this price, though, they definitely could have gone with a 2K display. I would have taken less RAM. I would have taken 4 gigs of RAM and with a 2K display, because we know that it can work. Because I've got what, 2 or 3 other phones here with a Snapdragon 835 with 4 gigs of RAM. But they do have an AMOLED display, and it is beautiful to say the least. My impressions of it so far, it's actually it's a good display. So you put the dark theme on it, because you have the themes. You can have the light or the dark theme. The dark thing is when you have an AMOLED display, if possible, always go with a dark theme. And then you've got that 5.5-inch 1080p display. It's actually pretty good. Now the highlight of this phone isn't the display, isn't so much the build quality. It's these cameras. Let me just show you some footage that I took with these cameras right here, and I'll close this video out, with some final thoughts. This isn't a full review or anything like that. I just wanted to show you that it's here, and let you know that I'm going to be using it as a daily driver. So it's going to be tough to step away from my my U11 as a daily driver, but I can do it with this phone, because this phone's a little bit narrower. And the fingerprint reader is fast. The cameras, I've been playing with them, and I'll respect, cameras are really good. I don't think I'll hold back on how I feel about the cameras compared to other devices for now. But however, these cameras are solid, and you can check out the footage right now. All right, guys, so OnePlus gave me something that I really enjoy, which is 60 frames per second. Oh my gosh, I totally enjoy 60 frames per second. And right now, I don't see any limits. I mean, I got 128 gigs of storage, and I probably can record into my heart's content. Now, the funny part about this camera is they take on the same thing. Sorry for covering the camera. They take on the same thing as the iPhone. So if I hit it there, it's 2 times. They really went in here. And then if I scroll, I can scroll all the way in 8 times. And it's definitely not as clear as the iPhone. But can I catch the plane? Can I get it? I can't get it. The sun's too bright. It's definitely not as clear as the iPhone when I zoom. It's really blurry, actually. Like, at least in the viewfinder. I'll see when I get on the computer, but it's super clear at 1080p at 60 frames per second. This does record in 4K. And again, phones that don't have 1080p at 60 frames per second, it's kind of a bummer. It's kind of a bummer because 60 frames per second is just so nice. Yeah, actually, I can already see that's going to be a problem, me covering the camera. I'll have to hold this phone like I hold the U11 with 2 hands or just 1 hand on the right or left, whichever way I'm holding it. But that's a sample right there of the rear camera at 1080p at 60 frames per second. Now this front camera is 1080p. It shoots 1080p at 16 megapixels. It looks pretty solid. You know, I am going to compare this camera next to other cameras because I have several phones that have 16 megapixel cameras on the front, and I will be comparing them in a review, so just look for that. But the footage on here looks to be good. So one thing that OnePlus is saying is great about this phone is the portrait mode, the macro shots, the depth of field, the bokeh effect. Everybody's excited about this type of footage, but it's just a photo. So they definitely took notes again with this setting. And so as you can see here in some of these shots, that, you know, it's pretty decent. It's nothing that makes it stands out against other phones, because you don't actually need dual cameras to do a bokeh effect. You just go into manual mode in most phones and do a macro shot, and it'll blur out the background. As a matter of fact, with this lens that I have, this clip-on lens, I can easily do a macro shot, a bokeh effect, if you will. You know, it's not something that's groundbreaking anymore. But when I compare it to like the HTC U11 that I'm recording with, it doesn't have a portrait mode, but I can still do the bokeh effect. And so I'll put a picture of the Yeti up right now with this phone and also the HTC U11, and you can also look at the detail in both photos, but more important, look at the effect. The HTC U11 does not have a portrait mode, but most phones, they have a pro mode, and you can do a macro shot and get the same effect. And so a lot of times when people talk about that with dual cameras, that's why I'm not that excited about having dual cameras, because unless it's LG's devices, they're the only one that seems to be taking advantage, real good advantage of the dual cameras. But nonetheless, this is going to be compared to several phones that I have. And I hope you guys enjoyed my first impressions. I'm really impressed with this so far. The fluidity of it, obviously, is there. It's got 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs on board. No SD card or anything, but it's still there. It's something that is appreciated. Do we need it? Of course not. We don't need 8 gigs of RAM. But the cameras is what they're excited about. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to bring you a lot of footage on the cameras with this device, and we'll see how it goes. And also, obviously, you see this case I snapped it back on, but I'll show you the cases and stuff that I got. And I'll see you in another video. It's your man Jay Will. Take care.